Hello! Did you know that Norwegians are very interested in how things are placed? When you put something on the table or in your shelf or in the fridge, the positioning of that thing is very, very important. Or it could be. In Norwegian, we have 3 verbs that all mean put or place in English. And which one you use has to do with the object that you're talking about and which position you put it in. So let's dive right into it. Å legge is used when the object that you're putting somewhere is lying. And what does that actually mean? Let's use a book as an example. When it is flat, it's lying, and when it's up, like vertical, it's standing, basically. And in general, that is the rule that will help you the most, but not always. So another rule that can help you for all cases, when you should determine whether to use å legge for lying objects or sette for standing objects, you can think about the object as a creature. And a creature would have a head and it would have feet. So take your object, for instance, a book, and imagine where would the head of this thing be? When you read it, what has to be up, right? What is like the upper part of it? That is the head. Take a cup, for instance. The head of a cup would be the opening. That's what you need to have up so that the content doesn't pour out. And this is important because there are some objects that when they are flat or horizontal, they still, even though they look like they're lying, we actually look at them as if they were standing. For instance, a plate. Plate is flat, but what side do you need to have up for it to be functional? The flat part, the part where you put the food, right? So that's the head of the plate. So if you say that, if you use legge for that noun, then it means that it's actually vertical, which is super weird. So in that case, you would have to say sette. Sette. So, for instance, I would say jeg setter koppen på bordet. I put the cup on the table. Setter. Setter because the cup is standing, right? The head is up. Jeg legger boka på bordet. I put the book on the table. Legger because the book is lying. The result when I put there is that it will be lying. And if you put something in a bag or another container, let's say, a plastic bag, a backpack, you would use legger, no matter if the thing is standing afterwards or not. Så jeg legger boka i sekken. Jeg legger maten i sekken. And some things don't really have any preferred verb because they don't really have any head. Like a ball, for instance, it's completely round. There's no natural up and down. So for those words you can choose. Jeg legger ballen på gulvet. Jeg setter ballen på gulvet. I put the ball on the floor. Doesn't matter which one you use. Another verb that you can use sometimes is å putte, which is very similar to put in English. but we only use it for when you put something inside of something. Only that. So I would say, jeg putter melka I kjøleskapet. I put the milk in the fridge. Jeg putter boka I sekken. I put the book in the bag or in the backpack. Okay. Now, when you use the words putte, legge, sette, all of those three, you always need to have something. You always need to have something afterwards. You can't just say, jeg putter, and then you stop, right? Or jeg setter. So if you want to say, because we also use these verbs, legge and å sette, not putte, but legge and å sette, we also use those for when you put yourself somewhere. So if you go from standing to sitting, for instance, you would say, jeg setter meg, which would translate to something like, I sit myself, or I put myself in a sitting position. Whereas, jeg legger meg would mean, I lay myself down. Okay, and we also use jeg legger meg to say I go to bed. So it can mean both. Either I go to bed or I lay down. Okay, but you have to say meg afterwards. So if it's somebody else, you would say du legger deg or du setter deg. You lay down or you sit down. So this is something we call transitive verbs, which mean that they need an object. You need to put an object after them, whether it's meg or boka, the book, or something else. And it's important to know this because we have other verbs that are quite similar to these two, but they are intransitive. They're not transitive, so they don't have an object afterwards. And the consequence of that is that there's no change. They're not talking about any change of position or any movement. They're just talking about the state. So there's no change of state. They're already lying, or they're already sitting, or already standing. That I will talk more about in the next episode. Okay? So I'm going to give you 3 sentences and I want you to tell me how I can translate them into Norwegian. And I'm going to give you some time to think. I put the eggs in the fridge. So you can either say, jeg setter eggene I kjøleskapet, because the eggs are standing, right? If you imagine the way they're lying in their carton, the head is up. Or I can say, jeg putter eggene I kjøleskapet. Now, if they weren't in a carton and I was just putting them right on the shelves in the fridge, I could also say, jeg legger eggene I kjøleskapet. Because then they would be lying. That's what they naturally would do. And that's a little bit funny because we also say, høna legger egg. The hen lays eggs. So legge egg can actually also mean that. Okay, next one. I put the book in the bookshelf. Here also you have 2 options. It depends how you put them there. Are they horizontal or lying flat, or are they vertical or standing, as we would say? So if they're lying down, I would say, jeg legger boka I hylla, or I bokhylla. Jeg setter boka I bokhylla. Setter, putting it up, like making it stand. Okay, last one. Or actually 2 more. I'll do 2 more. I sit down. Jeg setter meg. And I lay down. Jeg legger meg. And I will end this episode with a little funny, or I think it's super funny, comment. Because jeg setter meg means I sit down, right? I sit. But when I use it for an object, when I'm placing an object, jeg setter koppen på bordet. The cup is not sitting, the cup is standing. That's what we would say. Koppen står. That would be the result. Koppen står på bordet. The cup is standing on the table. Why is that? Why don't we say that the cup is sitting? Well, if you think about it, things don't have butts. They can't sit. It's not possible. So they have to stand. Unless it was a doll, maybe, then you could probably make it sit. But yeah, most things can't sit. So that's the reason why. So the result of me sitting down is that I'm sitting. Jeg setter meg. Result, jeg sitter. We're going to talk more about this in the next episode. But jeg setter koppen på bordet. Result, koppen står. The cup is standing. So more about this in the next episode. Takk for I dag. Vi snakkes.